In the mid-19th century, Greene County played host to several popular health resorts, including Xenia Springs in Wilberforce. The history of Xenia Springs, also known as Tawawa Springs, is rich and varied. The area provided the backdrop for the cultures of Native Americans from prehistoric times to 1813 and of European and African Americans during the past 2 centuries. Tawawa is believed to be Shawnee for clear water, alluding to the clear, mineral-rich springs. The correspondence of an early pioneer, C.M. Galloway, indicates the Shawnee utilized the springs not 4 miles from their settlement in Old Chillicothe. Somewhere along this track, according to legend, there existed a silver mine. The stream reportedly carried the silver to Old Chillicothe, where the Shawnee used the precious metal to make jewelry and other wares. By the early 1800s, the springs were on a portion of a farm owned by William and Eleanor Jackson Kendall. Brown later recalled that some of the farm buildings remained on the property when she arrived in Wilberforce and were used by the university. In June of 1851, the Tawawa House, the resort's hotel, was completed along with 12 cottages. The hotel's first season ran from the middle of June to August 30th of that year. Dr. Samuel Silsby, a Cincinnati physician, supervised the hydropathic treatments as well as social events, including soirees that offered large, elegant banquets and musical entertainment. Despite new investors, the resort's financial woes persisted, due mostly to criticism from local residents. The resort was frequented by planters from southern Ohio, Kentucky, and various other southern states. Many of these southern planters brought with them their female slaves and the children they had fathered, angering neighboring farmers, many of whom were anti-slavery.
The old hotel that used to be here, and that in itself is such a magnificent story, in that the southern plantation owners would come here. The men would come, and they would bring their hunting dogs, and fishing poles, and their cue sticks for billiards, and bring their black extended families. They wouldn't bring their white wives, and so to play house, so to speak. And that was a double-edged sword, because then that gave the enslaved people a sense of freedom. And every summer they would see their friends that they had met during the summer, and they had a taste of what it was like to be appreciated. But if they stepped out of line, if they forgot their place, so to speak, if they forgot that, oh, I'm not really your wife, oh, I'm just your maid, I'm your servant, and you didn't do what it was you were supposed to be, you could be degraded, humiliated, beaten, flogged in front of everyone. And there was a dual group going on. So you had those who escaped on the Underground Railroad who lived here in the east end of Xenia, toward Middle Run Baptist Church and Zion Baptist Church, that community in existence. And they were very proud of their freedom because they could work. So they would come here and set things up for the hotel. They were the barbers, the cooks, those who did laundry, groundskeeping. And their attitude was, okay, you think you're all of that because you're with this family that's traveling here, but we have our freedom.
Some of the slaves who came north with the planters stayed to work at the hotel during the off-season. Of the blacks who remained at the hotel, most gained their freedom and settled in the area after the resort closed in 1853. Many of them were among the first Wilberforce University students. A promotional poster by artist J.W. Sylvester, archived at the Ohio Historical Society in Columbus, provides remarkable visual evidence of the resort and the springs. Sylvester provides graphic details of the main building, cottages, and landscape. The poster indicates the resort was located on the north part of the Tawawa Woods on a wooded bluff with a ravine to the east of the main buildings. The back lawn details an elaborate complex of water channels, pools, and fountains, and an overshot water wheel. Identified here are the remnants of the large water wheel, a machine used for converting the energy of flowing or falling water into more useful forms of power, a process known as hydropower. A water wheel consists of a large wooden wheel with a number of blades or buckets arranged on the outside rim forming a driving surface. In the ravine, the springs were incorporated into a pool and fountain with a gazebo. The south portion of the area was converted into a park with paths for resort bathers. With the help of these images, surveying records, and archival photographs and documents, researchers and student assistants from Central State University have been able to identify resort remnants throughout the woods.
As we were walking back one day, we noticed that there wasn't anything growing in this particular strip. So we started digging, and about 2 inches down, there was a cement walkway going back from the old Shorter Hall, which was torn down to this building. It's 100 feet long, it's 30 feet wide. It contained bathrooms and showers. There's large copper pots and kettles down there. And again, it has these small rooms that was there originally. It's the first floor. Since it's on a hillside, we think there was a second floor. We've looked at pictures to try to identify it, and obviously it was multi-purpose over the years. It was last used for storage. There was also a spring house back there, and there's still remnants of that back there from the resort time, early 1850s. The exciting part about that spring house is it's innovative, at least from what I can tell. It has 6 doors on the top, and you would lift those up. You would put your cold things in there, and then they'd have to bring them up, I assume in buckets or something like that. So spring houses I've seen, they've actually had a little spring running through them. You go in and you put your stuff in the spring. Here they actually built the water up, and it's still built up there. It's deeper there. And then you would lift a lid and go down and pull your stuff out and close the lid up. So I thought that was kind of exciting, that it was a little bit different, maybe for high capacity, I guess.
Spring houses, commonly found in rural areas before the advent of electrical appliances, were usually one-room buildings, and the water from the flowing springs below maintained a consistent cool temperature throughout the year. Designed for the long-term preservation of food items that would otherwise spoil, spring houses commonly stored meat, fruits, dairy products, and other perishable goods. The podcasts are a project of Central State University archivist Sheila Darrow and English professor Amy Hobbs Harris, and funded by the Central State University Office of the President and Office of Sponsored Programs and Research. Research on the Toowawa Woods was contributed by Cadence Lowell, professor of biology. Visit the university website at centralstate.edu.